Hey, Shalom, Kohala, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai Bashim, Chachadash. Devon's the apostle of the great millstone, and Shalom to rivers and highways and byways, doing the work sincerely and faithfully, continue fighting that good fight of faith. Lord willing, we found that number to be delivered. All right, so I think I'm gonna call this the rise and fall of Babylon. All right, and I'm talking about modern day Babylon here, and by means of how Babylon came into existence and how it's going to be extinct from existence, if you will. So therefore, I'll coin the term the rise and fall of Babylon. So let's start off with this, right? So I put in, when was America born? And it says, the Declaration of Independence in the birth of America. Jack Miller Center. The Declaration of Independence was adopted on July 4th, 1776. Independence Day has only been a federal holiday since 1941, but July 4th has been celebrated as our country's birthday since the 18th century. All right. So this is pretty much the start of the birth of America, if you will, 1776. Now, keeping in mind that these devils have been coming over, they've been coming over here and gathering up lands, if you will, and at the same time pushing the North American Indians out, if not pushing them out or slaughtering them. But prior to that, going back to, don't get it confused with the Renaissance and the Declaration of Independence. Right? The Renaissance is when these devils came back into full power, if you will. And this Declaration of Independence is when they separated themselves from over there in England, Britain. When they separated themselves, this is how the course of America came into existence. All right. So from there, let's go here. I typed in, who did America get its independence from? So on July 2nd, 1776, the Congress voted to declare independence from England. Okay? So when they got sent over here, when they came over here, they felt that they could do their own thing and be more prosperous without having to give tribute to Britain, if you will. So it says, after 2 days of debate and some changes to the document, the Congress voted to accept the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. This action represented a formal separation of the American colonies from Great Britain. All right, and this is why we have, 4th of July. They celebrate that independence from Britain, if you will. In England, they celebrate it, and by means of lighting off fireworks, the bombs bursting in air, as it goes in one of their little songs, the bombs bursting in air. Oh, see, and this is their memorial of how they, came into existence as far as these new Americas, if you will. All right. So I want to also jump down to this, right, concerning that independence, because even so much so, they commemorated with a coin. All right. And this is the commemoration of their independence. And it was a 100-year period from 1776 to 1976. So it was that commemoration in this coin. Now, you'll be surprised. You're going to be surprised at if you have any of these coins, right? Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Second. Yeah, you'll be surprised that, let me show y'all what these damn coins are going for. Let me get here. Go to the shopping thing here. You'll be surprised what some of these coins are going for. You know, some pretty decent ones if you have a pretty decent one. You know, now when we were kids, some of these should sell for 2,300, 475, 500. Now when we were kids, we've always had these coins. You know, there was in circulation like just regular coins. But as the time went on, the value increased, and now you can barely find these coins. And not to mention, with the amount of new coins that they're minting now, a bunch of nonsense, but the coins that they're minting now are just absolutely useless and valueless. All right. But again, commemorating that birth, commemorating that beginning. Okay. So that being said, let's move on to what was U.S. before 1776. It says, what was the name of the United States of America before it was called United States of America? You mean the colonies. A name we are still called in Britain. Okay? So in Britain, they call this place the colonies. Other names include the 13 colonies, the Americas, New England, Virginia, Chesapeake Bay colonies in the South. All right. So going back, let me just go down here, just give you a quick visual. Give you a quick visual. 13 colonies, get an image of what they were. All right. So here you see the 13 colonies, right? From Maine down to Georgia. These were the 13 colonies, and this is where these Edomites primarily lived. All right. And as you see on the outside, Indian Reserve. So all this land that they came across, starting here in Massachusetts, the Plymouth Rock, okay? And then you had this thing which was called the westward expansion, all right? So as Esau got more and more comfortable after Gad shown them how to survive off the land, now they understood that, well, wait a minute, this is a meek people. We can take them. All right, so let's read this real quick. And this is from National Geographic, I believe it is. And again, you take, some of the things that National Geographic's put out there, and you know how to, navigate through the bullshit that they put up. Because sometimes all these channels, they just put up a lot of bullshit. But all that being said, westward expansion. It says, a significant push toward the west coast of North America began in the 1810s. It was intensified by the belief of manifest destiny. Now we're going to look that word up too. It says federally issued Indian removal acts and economic promise. So there was acts that they put into place to remove the North American Indians from the lands that they inhabited. All right. And with that removal, they promised themselves economic promise. All right. And you can go back into the history of when Esau started coming over here and messing with North American Indians, Gadites, if you will, pushing them out the land, taking the land for themselves, dividing land among themselves. All right. And this is what constituted that economic promise. It says pioneers traveled to Oregon and California using a network of trails leading west. And where do you think those trails came from? And who put those trails there? North American Indians. Okay? In 1893, historian Frederick Jackson Turner declared the frontier closed, citing the 1890 census as evidence, and with that, the period of westward expansion ended. Yeah, because they had already scooped up most of the damn land. So what he did was, this Frederick Jackson was somewhat like the governor, if you will. And he said, all right, we're going to move to a certain time period, and that's it. But if you go through the history, you'll see that Esau kept moving. There was still sects of Edomites, going against the order, if you will, and still conquering and taking land and slaughtering North American Indians. All right? It says, explore these resources to learn more about what happened between 1810 and 1893 as immigrant American Indians, United States citizens, and free slaves moved west. All right? And again, like I said at the outset, they're going to give you, a lot of nonsense about who was moving west and what was happening. The majority of these people that were moving west were the Edomites. And as they were continually moving west, they was conquering lands. And anybody that got in their way was either put to death or put on a reservation. All right? And again, there's a compromise of 1850. All right? You can read that. There's another article, Indian Removal Act. All right? And the big thing about the first Indian Removal Act, it was when, after they came and had these so-called colonies, they decided that they needed more room and more land. So therefore, they was pushing Gad to the Midwest, towards Oklahoma. So from the Virginia area in that region, in them southern regions, up to Oklahoma was like damn near 1,000-mile walk on foot. And this is why it was dubbed the Trail of Tears, because a lot of people starved to death, a lot of children died, people froze to death, all in the name of westward expansion. You see, but they don't tell you all that. They're going to give you some nonsense that, everybody was moving westward, No, the Native Americans wasn't moving there because they wanted to. And this is the same thing you have right now when you see, 25,000 so-called Mexicans coming across the border. That's strategically designed, man. These people didn't all of a sudden just get up and find themselves homeless and decide to walk over the border. All right? This is another removal act that was put in place that you ain't going to hear about in the news. And this is why you have all these women and children, coming across the border. And you say to yourself, well, where'd they come from? Because they were removed out of their place of residence, if you will. All right? And again, all in the name of, invade America being invaded, if you will. All right? So these are some of the things that you can look into, you can read up on, all right, concerning the independence of Babylon. All right? Now, going back to that term manifest destiny. All right? So I looked up manifest destiny, right? And this is what it gave me. And check this out. It says manifest destiny was an idea that white Americans were divinely ordained to settle the entire continent of North America. Now, is there truth to that? Absolutely. Because the book of Job 9:24 says the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. All right? That was divinely ordained. All right? Because who has the power to give somebody something? Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says the ideology of manifest destiny inspired a variety of measures designed to remove or destroy the native population. All right? And that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear manifest destiny. The death of the North American Indians. But these are things that, Esau likes to pride himself off of. He prides himself off of the things that he has done. I know I had a conversation with this person, it was a few years back. and they were saying, if the white people didn't do what they did, we wouldn't have the modern technology that we have today. And again, that pride in these that pride in these, I'm gonna just say it, man, these pride in these devils is so deep. They believe and truly believe that if it wasn't for them, this world wouldn't be what it is today. All right. But we understand the truth of the matter. All right. So from there, check this out. Now, there was a song by this group. I think it was called Panic, I think. And the song is called High Hopes, right? So the first verse, as it shows here, the first verse says this: Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something greater, go make a legacy. All right. So what prophecy were they referring to? Second verse, second line: manifest destiny. Back in the days, we wanted everything. We wanted everything. All right. Now, this song is, I believe, like 3 or 4 years old, and they still play this on the radio. So they understood what their position was and what their job was and what they were set out to do. And like I said, when I hear manifest destiny, I think of the death of the North American Indians. So in order for them to get everything, they had to kill people. You see that? Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams. Okay, rewrite your history. So some of these cats who are put into this music industry, they're telling you in their songs and their lyrics, they still hold on to these thoughts. They still reverence that manifest destiny, that what they did to acquire the lands back then. All right. But again, this was the rise of Babylon, manifest destiny, the Declaration of Independence. So let's go to the Declaration of Independence, right? And this is what you call the preamble. The Declaration of Independence in the preamble. Let's read what that says. Declaration of Independence 1776. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain alienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, we know damn well that didn't pertain to the so-called Negro, to the so-called North American Indian, okay, and all the Latin tribes. These things didn't pertain to you. But this is the preamble. Now, that word preamble means a path of direction, or what's going to be spoken of. All right. So if they're going to be speaking of men being created equal in the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. So when you read the Declaration of Independence, it gives all these laws and so-called bylaws and, ways of living and how to, maintain yourself within these laws. And if anybody goes against these laws, so on and so forth. That's what the Declaration of Independence speaks of. And everything it speaks of went totally against our people. All right? 1776. Niggas wasn't going to the voting booths. Niggas wasn't going to do, going to buy a lot and buy a house. It wasn't like that, man. Now you had, in some certain cases, slave masters would let their slaves, get a little piece of lot if they had a family or whatever. But you were still under that slave, rulership, ownership, if you will. All right. So that preamble to the Declaration of Independence was not in favor for our people. And this is their history, man. This is what they've written down. This is what they've put on the books. But nobody questions this shit. Nobody questions it. All right? So, that being the rise of Babylon the Great, let's go here. This is Jeremiah 50:12. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, and a dry land in a desert. All right? So this is also speaking to that independence that they have acquired for themselves, because it speaks about the mother that bare them. And who is that mother? Going back up to the top here, and it says the Declaration of Independence and the birth of America. The Declaration of Independence was adopted on July 4th, 1776. Independence Day has only been, matter of fact, let me go to the second one. But it's all still on point, though. You know? Let me go here. It says on July 2nd, 1776, the Congress voted to declare independence from England. That's the mother. England is the mother. Okay? Going back down. So that's who has born them. All right? And since it has born them, and they sought and was granted, if you will, that independence. Let me see. Let me get this here. Hinder. Let me get this. Hinder most of the continents. Oh shit, I don't know what they talking about. Let's see. Put it this way here. Do it that way. Yeah, I guess I ain't writing that in right. How should I put that in? I'll just do it this way. World map. Get the map. There we go. Alright, that's better. Alright, so as we look at the world map concerning the hindermost, America is the chief nation in charge. Alright? And from the standpoint of the prophets and the visions that they saw, okay, when they were speaking of the hindermost, this is what they were referring to. America being that hindermost. Why? Because America is that Babylon, aka Babylon, is that land that's going to be made a desolate wilderness, a dry place. All right? This is that land. This is the hindermost. So let's go back to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 50:12, it says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land in a desert. All right? So this is what we talk about. This is the time period that we're living in. To prophesy the end of this kingdom, of this world, of this age. This is what we prophesy about. This is what is prevalent right now. When we out there in the highways and byways, some brothers all throughout the world at some point in time mentions the destruction of Babylon, the thermonuclear missiles, the end of this age, the end of this world. That's what's on the menu, man. And we're going to read a few more scriptures that's going to inform you about that wilderness, that dry place, that desert land, that desolation. Let's continue on. Okay. Joel chapter 2. It says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. Now that's specifically speaking about the thermonuclear missiles. which we also prophesy about, because the prophecy of those thermonuclear missiles is what's going to annihilate the hindermost part of the nations, man. And it's a joy to prophesy these things. It really is. Because now that your eyes have been opened and you can see what the will of the Heavenly Father is, to destroy Babylon the Great, we praise and let the Lord's will be done, man. Let the Lord's will be done. As the brother late Raham said, let the Lord's will be done. All right? And if you're for the Lord, you're for his word. And if you're for his word, you're for seeing his word be fulfilled. A lot of you people gonna get caught out there, man. A lot of you Israelites are gonna get caught out there when the Lord is extending his hand out to you. All right? It says, the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, meaning what? Before those thermonuclear missiles hit ground zero, you're going to have all the beauty of the land. All right? And it says, and behind them, a desolate wilderness. What does that mean, behind them? Meaning when they hit ground zero and start to burn up everything, it's going to be a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. All right? Who can't but prophesy about these things, man? This is the time we're living in. Giving them warning. Letting them know. Esau's getting ready. The nations are getting ready. Everybody's gearing up. They're stockpiling. They're warming things up, man. What do you think they're doing? Okay, the time is coming for that great and dreadful day. All right? And as it is written here again, and nothing shall escape them. Nothing. Okay? Anything outside of what the Lord has set for his prophets and his hopeful elect, you ain't going to escape it, man. Especially being in this country. Let's read on. Let's continue on. This is Jeremiah 15:14. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. Okay? All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Because at the end of this thing, there's not going to be, from what we read and understand, there's not going to be no missiles left. All right? Now, this is the global nuclear weapons stockpile. All right? The global nuclear weapons stockpile. So all these countries, and it shows through the course of time from 1945 to 2020. All right? These are the amount of missiles that each country now has. But more importantly is this. Let's check out some of these countries back in the 40s and 50s. A lot of these countries didn't have anything. Okay? A lot of these countries was bare. But America was up there in the numbers. And this is why America was known as the hammer of the whole earth. Because of the nuclear capabilities that it possessed. While all these other nations, by the time 1950 came, Russia had 5, America had 299. Look at the numbers, man. This is why the scriptures dubbed America the hammer of the whole earth. You see? But as the years progressed, all right, with that nuclear capability, as the years progressed, now you start to see the rise. All right? You start to see the rise. So all that being said, man, now the playing field has been made level, because now these nations are saying, have thou also become weak as we? Because they have now possessed that nuclear capability. All right? But all that being said, shoot at her, spare no arrows. So all these nations are going to come up against you. Babylon, this is going to be the fall of Babylon. Right? That's going to be the fall. I'll read that again. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Because now, mind you, remember now, some of these smaller countries didn't have the capability to bend that bow. But now they have it. And now that they have it, they're not going to spare no arrows. As a matter of fact, they may feel in their hearts, damn, we did enough damage to America. But the Lord's going to smite them bows, pursuant to Ezekiel, I believe the 39th chapter. The Lord's going to smite them bows out of their hand. Meaning what? The Lord's going to launch them nuclear missiles over there. All right? So this is about to be the grand finale, man. And if you ain't prophesying about that grand finale, then you probably going to get burnt up when that grand finale hits, man. This is the grand finale. This is what we've been waiting for. This is it. The time has come, man. Okay? This is the book of Revelation. And I'm going to get right to the point, verse 17. For it says, for in 1 hour, so great riches have come to naught. What does that mean? 1 hour, so great riches have come to naught. Because again, America has been the cash cow for a lot of nations for many years. All right? Everybody wanted to come to America. Everybody wanted to see the sights over in America. The glitz and the glamour. Okay? But in 1 hour, all that you have seen, all that you have watched and heard about America is going to be destroyed. Thus saith the Lord. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning. Okay? Because when the missiles get launched over here, and when they hit them, when they hit that realm, that heavenly realm as it's streaking across the sky, these nations are going to understand what the end result is going to be. People are going to stand afar off and they're going to cry. And they're going to say there's no way that America can survive what's coming to them. There's just no way. It's too many missiles. And it says, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. There's that word again, desolate. Right? We read about the hindermost being desolate, a wilderness, a dry land. Okay? Barren. They're going to understand that when the Lord starts letting these nations shoot those missiles, those arrows, that it's going to be virtually impossible for anybody to survive over here. But check it. Verse 20 is important to me, and you other brothers may find it as well. But verse 20, the Lord says this, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High has avenged you on her. So when we go out there and prophesy about the destruction of America and the downfall of America and the burning of this place, the Lord wants us to rejoice as we prophesy these things, as we do these things. He wants us to rejoice over the things that are coming. All right? So that's an honor to be able to have the Lord say to us, rejoice over her. That's an honor, man. We can, the scripture says even the remnant's gonna be affrighted. We're gonna be in fear at seeing the destruction of this place, because it's going to be something we've never seen before. And even still at that time, you may be like, damn, I knew a couple cats down there that maybe, got burnt up, but but all that being said, at the end of the day, the Lord's going to say, rejoice over her. Don't worry about nothing. This is my will. This is my anger that's being displayed right now before you. Rejoice. And anything that the Lord does is holy and faithful and true, man. So when you out there prophesying and you speaking about the destruction, you speaking about the masses, the death and destruction, when you speaking about these things, you're going to be able to rejoice over the things that you prophesied about. Continuing on, verse 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Okay? And as you read down, it speaks about all the things that are in Babylon that are no more going to be found. All right? And when you jump up to verse 16, it also gives you more of the precious things that are found here in Babylon that are going to be found no more. Because the Lord said, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. Beautiful. Beautiful. The Wadi Yahweh Shai for giving us the spirit of understanding that we may prophesy your words. All right? And if the Lord didn't set up the hope for the elect prophets and men of the Lord, how else are you going to know these things? All right? So with that, I'm going to end it on there. I think that's a beautiful spot to end it on. Because again, the name of the lesson is the rise and the fall of Babylon. Okay? And it says, verse 21, midway, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. That's it. That's it. That's a wrap. Close the curtain. Drop the mic. It's finished. All right? So Lord willing, this is a little edifying for you. Again, just to, keep your mind also, in the spirit of Babylon we still here, man. We still here. All right. And there's still demonic and wicked things going on while we're still here. So of course we got to continue to prophesy the downfall of this place. Of course. Until the Lord sets us up and puts us in our own land, and this place is burning pitch and smoke, we got to continue to prophesy the downfall, man. All right, so with that, Lord willing, I'll see y'all another one. I say shalom.